Do you remember when we talked to Cliff?
I do.
The truck driver?
I do.
And we interviewed him at the Love's gas station somewhere in Alabama?
Correct.
Do you remember most of what he said?
I remember a good chunk of what he said. He said a lot.
Yeah. Do you know that truck drivers are, like in California, truck drivers are up against AB5, which basically is kind of like taking them out of the owner-operator position, the contractor position, and it's kind of forcing them to become employees of these companies, these big companies, or abide by these new regulations that are just going to be way too expensive for them to even consider.
So I didn't know about AB5. I do know that a lot of people have commented on past videos of mine talking about how in California 70,000 so truckers were losing their jobs because they were owner-operators. I knew a lot of that, but...
So it would be, I don't know, fair to say that right now the truck driving industry is probably taking a hit.
Yes.
On top of previously having high diesel prices, low rates for the loads, more regulation, more strict rules regarding truck driving, which Cliff talked about a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like he was saying that he was going to take 2 weeks off because he knew the DOT was going to be out hitting everybody.
Yeah.
To make money.
Yeah.
But it's like so right now, and Walmart too. Walmart slashed their owner operator contractor truck driver rates, which is basically making them not want to do it. Mm-hmm. So why would anybody want to be a truck driver?
If you don't like dealing with people on a daily basis, but you still need a job and you like driving, that would be a really good job for you because generally speaking, you're alone in a truck, unless you have something like a rooms to go thing where you have somebody with you to deliver furniture. But a lot of times it's a solo ride. You can listen to whatever you want to, talk to people on the phone. You can catch up on listening to your YouTube videos, a lot of stuff like that. Or especially if they don't have anybody at home to spend time with.
True. But you still have to meet the requirements and qualifications and training mm-hmm. to become a licensed truck driver.
Correct. I don't know how difficult it is in the long run, as long as you can back up and not hit things. I'm pretty sure like the driving portion of it, as long as you practice, you can get it. And I don't know though how many rules and regulations you have to know off the top of your head in order to pass certain tests to get a CDL.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that because I think that we're seeing a decline in the amount of truck drivers as they're quitting, being forced out, taking a break, whatever. Mm-hmm. Fewer entering in to the industry, similar to farming. Mm-hmm. They're getting forced out and less are coming in. Similar to military.
Oh, yeah.
Some being forced out because they won't comply. Mm-hmm. And then fewer enlisting, which, we even talked about that while we were on the beach on a previous video about sign-on bonuses, and they still couldn't meet their quota.
Now, that may be a reason why they're trying to get rid of owner-operators, because as an owner-operator, you don't have to abide by any rules. You don't have to get any things done to you that you don't want done.
Well, yeah, they all want control. They all want, mm-hmm. they want to make all the money. They want to keep you down, and they want the control. But mm-hmm. let's stay on track here as far as the CDL component goes.
Okay.
As some drivers may be looking to go the CDL route, instead of just a hotshot trucker, which doesn't necessarily require a CDL, and talk about how hard or how easy it is to get your license, which you said you weren't familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. It could be simple. It could be difficult.
So truck drivers are now required to pass a new modernized Cdl Skills Test starting next week. And this is according to Cdl Life. It's a website that I found.
Okay.
And transportation officials in Maryland will install an updated commercial driver's license Cdl Skills Test requirement starting in just a few days. So starting August 22nd, all Maryland Department of Transportation Motor Vehicle Administration, or MDOT-MVA, branch offices statewide and at partner testing sites will implement a new modernized commercial driver's license Cdl Skills Test. So we're getting into what does it take to get the license. But at the end of the day, this has been an update and it's a new test.
Okay.
So this new skills test will reduce the number of items on the pre-trip inspection component of the test from more than 100 to around 50 items that a driver would typically experience on the job. The report said that the new CDL test takers will have to demonstrate competence in the basic control component of the test, where applicants will be tested on the following 4 maneuvers. Forward stop to demonstrate an applicant's ability to judge the front of the vehicle. Straight line backing to demonstrate the applicant's ability to back the vehicle in a straight line. Forward offset tracking to demonstrate an applicant's ability to maneuver the vehicle around other objects while moving forward. Reverse offset backing to demonstrate an applicant's ability to offset, reverse, and park the vehicle. According to the M.MVA, the new test evaluates the applicant's knowledge based on updated vehicle features and focuses on key skills needed to safely operate a commercial vehicle, claiming that technology has evolved and improved since the last time the CDL test was reviewed. The modernized test is another way the M.MVA is enhancing its services for CDL applicants while prioritizing safety. And according to a news release from M.MVA, the updated CDL skills test comes after Maryland was one of 3 states to participate in a pilot program through the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, this past year. But we're going to have to wait and see if permission is granted to expand the use of this new test statewide, or if we will see other states adopt this new testing procedure. So now this is an update to the skills test. So let's start at the top here, or do you want to go?
So I had a thought about that. So modernized version, you have to think about if you had a car from 1985 versus you have a vehicle you bought this year. You have way more things. You have the side sensors that let you know if there's somebody close to you. You have a backup camera. You have all these different things now to help with safety while you're driving. And so to modernize the test, they're probably thinking a lot of the trucks that will be used will be newer ones, especially since they've changed diesel regulations and things like that. So they're probably thinking that the new test technically should be easier in the trucks, which I don't really think helps anybody, because if you are an older truck and you're taking a test in a new truck, you don't have all those safety features in an old one.
So here's the problem. Let's begin with the problems. Number one, we're seeing this across the board in all industries, and we're seeing it in school. Especially in school, where schools have decided that kids don't need to know things like they used to need to know things. Kids don't need to know how to read and write properly.
They don't need to know cursive.
They don't need to know correct grammar.
Correct.
They don't need they omit certain things. They don't need to know how to read an analog clock.
Oh yeah, I remember when. Well, no. So our kid, she had to do the thing in kindergarten where you had to read the thing, and then after kindergarten, though, you're done because everything's digital.
But it's like you think about it. What happens when the new upgraded features, the new technology fails? What happens when you get your license, but you hire on with another company that doesn't have the new trucks with the new technology? But Cliff, the truck driver from Love's that we interviewed, told us some things that truck drivers know they have to check after they have to do a pre-check, especially after an overnight stay, because other truck drivers
will mess with your stuff.
Yeah. And technology doesn't prevent that.
No.
So if we're taking out half of the pre-trip inspection components because technology has advanced, we're essentially making people dumber.
I was about to say we're dumbing everybody down.
And then they have to rely on this technology that when it fails them, it's going to hurt other people.
Well, you got to think about this. When I was younger, my dad taught me how to take tires off, rotate them, how to fix a flat, how to change oil in a car, everything else, right? Because he's like, when you get to school, they're not going to have, any kind of workshops like this. So let me show you now. So by the time you start driving, you don't have to rely on somebody. You won't be stuck on the side of the road. But now, I don't know that today's parents may not even know how to do these things to teach their kids, because everybody is so used to just, I'm going to take it to somebody else and have them do it for me. And that's because we're not being taught anything anymore.
Well, and if that's the case, then you're not going to have people out there who's going to know how to do the things that you don't know how to do, because it's just going
over time.
But think about self-driving, autonomous Tesla. What happens to some people in these Teslas? They get too comfortable and they get complacent, and then dumb shit happens.
They crash, or the car crashes, or they get pulled over by the police and don't realize they've been pulled over, or trying to be pulled over. Did you see that? Some old guy was sleeping in his car, driving. It was driving. He was sleeping. You are not allowed to sleep. You are allowed to let the car drive for you, but you're not allowed to take a little siesta. No naps. So police officer noticed this guy was sleeping in his car and it was going, so he pulled over behind him, flipped on the blue lights, and I don't remember how many miles it went before enough people were honking at this guy to wake him up, that he woke up and then pulled over and probably got a very expensive ticket.
So this is extreme negligence. Why? Because these people rely on this new modern technology, which makes them less responsible. So can you imagine, just if we were to flip that scenario over to a pre-trip inspection that has now been cut in half because technology, and then you as a truck driver get comfortable and complacent and negligent, and then maybe of the 100 items on a pre-trip you did 75. So now of the 50 you do 35.
Yeah.
Like, this is human nature. And then we have these 80,000 pound vehicles driving down the road with new drivers who are doing half as much pre-trip inspection and
have half as much knowledge on how to control the truck and do things with the truck. Now think about this. What happens when those same modern requirements move up to like airplanes or...
No, they already have. Economic Prepper. He made a video about that, especially this summer, which you made a video about on your channel, Preparing for Survival, about how flights were being canceled. There was a news report that so many flights were being canceled left and right. People were being stranded at the airports, which is a terrible situation, especially today with the way everything's going, and then the families and the kids and the food situations and all that, baby formula shortage. Like, it's already a struggle. But then you're sitting here at this airport with limited resources, most of which probably have been checked in a bag that is now waiting to be loaded on the plane that you can't get to, but your flight has been delayed, so you're just sitting there. Then, but Economic Prepper made a video, and he was talking about how the airlines are desperate for pilots, so they were cutting the requirements for the pilots' training down to half.
That is true. I do remember reading about that, and I was like, oh, well, it's a good thing I don't plan on flying anywhere anymore.
So the pilots were required to have so many hours of flight time, and now they're like, well, we need pilots really, really bad.
Yeah.
So, and why do they need pilots? Well,
we know why they need pilots. So that's why they need a lot of people in a lot of places.
So they need them really bad. So we're just going to make it easier for people to become pilots and fly these planes with hundreds of passengers on them.
Your loved ones.
And, who knows what and who is below them and where they may end up. And they're doing the same thing with trucking. They're making it easier for people to get behind these giant trucks that, Amy Witheright's going to have a field day.
Can you imagine if the truck that we were behind, the car hauler, if that had been one of the newer CDL drivers who didn't have to really have that much knowledge on how to move these things? Because whoever was driving this truck, we were behind a truck, I think somewhere in Louisiana, and it was windy, y'all. It was so windy, and he was hauling cars. And because there's so many gaps in what you're hauling, the wind can go through, and it's hitting all weird. And this semi it was all over the place. And every 5 seconds, I would have a small mini heart attack because I thought this man was going to die.
I'm going to see if you still got the video. We'll put some of that up so that people can see how much this truck was all over the road. And he may have been an experienced driver.
Yes.
But the simple fact of the matter is that, we are allowing technology to dumb everybody down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a terrible idea. Like, Nissan promotes these commercials. I think Nissan is like one of the main ones, and I think Subaru is like the second one. And Subaru has a commercial where somebody's backing out of a driveway and a kid runs behind the car so it stops. Okay? But Nissan, they had one with a Nissan Rogue on the interstate, and it kept falling out of its lane. So it would put it back in its lane. And for me, it's like, I know how to drive to stay in my lane. Mm-hmm. I don't rely on the vehicle's technology to keep me in my lane, even when the wind is blowing me around in my van.
Mm-hmm. That was fun too.
But I don't rely on the technology to keep me in my lane. And then these drivers that don't know this and don't practice this get into this vehicle, the technology fails, and then they fall out of their lane, think they're going to come back, and they don't. Or they end up in a different vehicle, a rental vehicle. The feature is turned off for some reason. So like in the van, the adaptive cruise and the automatic braking will turn off if the front sensors get too many bugs or dirt on it. So then the feature's turned off. And you're thinking, oh, it'll keep me in my lane. No, it won't, because it's off.
Much and then you're taking a nap and thinking it's going to keep you in your lane, and then death.
Yeah, but much like people I see riding around with vehicles that they're unfamiliar with without lights on at night, because the daytime running lights to them are bright, but they don't realize that their headlights and taillights are not actually on.
Yeah.
And they have become negligent and complacent and too comfortable and have been dumbed down by this technology. They don't know any better. And we're trying to take this same concept over to semi-trucks, to CDL drivers.
Well, they're also taking the same concept of the Tesla self-driving over to semi-trucks as well. So right now it's okay, which one's going to be the cheapest to run and cause the least amount of harm and get the job done faster? So you've got a test here. Is it the robot, or is it the person who, if they're smart enough to, pee in the toilet and not miss, then it's fine.
Well, that's
still a thing.
Yeah. So, but anyway, honestly, the solution would be to incentivize people to want to have these jobs. Because the reason why people don't want the job, they're leaving and not coming back, is because it doesn't pay enough money. So they're out.
Yeah.
They're gone. Like the people who were making good money driving trucks this summer probably maybe changed their mind, put a bad taste in their mouth for the fact that they probably didn't make any money.
Yeah.
They probably didn't make any money.
Due to diesel prices. But I mean, a lot of that is owner operators too. I actually had somebody comment on one of my videos that her husband drives for a company, semi-trucks, but they do not pay for his fuel. So, but they also have not given him a per mile raise. So now it's almost like he's driving for free, but he has to do it in order to keep their health insurance.
That's tricky. That's tricky right there. That was like what I was talking about the other day, where these employers are going to start subsidizing housing so that they control more of you than just your paycheck. So it's not just the money. It's the for this person, it's the health insurance. So it's like there's more at stake.
Yeah.
There's more at stake. But basically, this is what state was this? Maryland?
Maryland.
All right, so Maryland. And
I wonder what the other two states were that had the test. Probably whichever states have had the most semi-truck accidents lately, honestly.
They're trying to be progressive. But it says that they're really only concerned with basic control components of driving forward, driving backwards, maneuvering around something, and being able to reverse offset. And they're putting a lot of their faith in the technology, which is ridiculous. And then the pre-check, I think if anything, I would probably find a way to make the test, align more with the technology. Maybe for the fact that a lot of these semi-trucks are now automatic transmissions instead of manuals. So you're not having to, know how to double clutch and switch over the gears, because usually they have multiple sets of gears to shift through. Maybe go that route versus the pre-check. The
Yeah.
pre-check is like,
Are your brakes still attached?
how your brakes look,
Is your trailer still fully hooked up to your rig?
yeah,
Like,
how your tires, like all these things that these are like the major points of failure.
the meat and potatoes.
That, you know, if you miss those seemingly small items, it could be like extremely bad for so many people. And I mean, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research to really figure out what parts of this pre-trip inspection that they've cut out that they feel are obsolete now because of technology, which I'm sure is probably going to make your head roll when you figure it out and hear what they did. But I think it's a really stupid idea. I think it's really dumb, and I don't think it's really going to have an impact on and seeing an increase in CDL drivers getting more licenses or wanting to enter into the industry, because it's just it's a failing industry.
I think what you're going to see is it's going to take you longer to see replenished things on shelves in stores and things like that.
Oh yeah,
As you're taking away people who know the job, who've been doing the job, who love it so much and are so good at it. They bought their own truck. When you are willing to invest your own money to go buy your own truck so that you can do this for a living, it says something. But now they're taking that away in California. I'm sure it'll end up,
we're gonna see. Oh yeah,
around the states.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, definitely those states, the Democrats, the blue states, but. We're going to see probably a bunch of, or hear about a lot of 1-800 truck wreck commercials and these truck accident insurance attorneys, because this is going to, in my opinion, increase the likelihood of more accidents and more failures due to negligence. And these companies, these attorneys they're just going to tear these companies apart. And insurance is going to go through the roof, more than likely, for the entire trucking industry, whether you're a great driver, great history, great record, or not, because of everyone else. And because of these attorneys going after this low-hanging fruit, as they're making it easier for people to go out there and get behind the wheel of these extremely large, heavy trucks that, you know, can just wipe people out easily.
But you got to think about it. It may also affect your regular car insurance, knowing that these insurance agencies are going to be like, we have these trucks on the road that are constantly wrecking. We're going to have to up the car insurance now because of the exact same reason. Because if they're only teaching truck drivers how to go forwards, backwards, left, and right, but they're not teaching them how to know the distance between the car that's next to you and when you can get over. Because when you're learning to drive, they're not teaching you in any of these classes how to not get near a semi-truck or how to stay out of blind spots or anything like that.
That's going to be very interesting. Insurance is going up already because the replacement value of these vehicles they've increased tremendously due to the supply chain constraints and the shortages and the semiconductor chip shortages and inflation, and Jerome Powell and the Fed pumping money into the economy with the money printer and the stimulus checks and all that stuff. So insurance is going to go up. But what's going to be interesting is when we do have more of these self-driving autonomous vehicles on the road, how these insurance claims are going to play out when you don't actually have a physical driver to write a citation to say who's at fault.
Like that driverless Uber car. Like if you have a vehicle that does not have a driver in the seat, there's a driverless Uber thingy, and it gets into an accident. Who?
Unfortunately, there's going to be some sad soul that is going to have to find that out the hard way, more than likely. And then it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm. There's no precedence. Each occurrence will set precedence, and it's probably going to be a long, drawn-out battle. And then it's going to make it so that people will probably not want to drive as much, because of the higher cost for insurance, the greater risk of the accidents, and being mostly at fault, even though you're not, but there's no other driver to blame, and further push the agenda for reduced emissions and green renewable energy and all that nonsense. But these are just more ways that people can be coerced into doing what they want you to do.
You know what's funny? You may cut this part out, but you know what's funny? That when cars were first invented, they're probably having the exact same conversation we're having now. Like, what is this? And this is not safe and all this stuff. My horse-drawn buggy is much safer. I know how to control that horse. I know how to stop it. And if it doesn't stop, you shoot it in the head. It's done. You don't have to worry about it. There's no runaway horses. Oh, what is this thing on 4 wheels and this engine? And it's every couple decades, I'm sure, it's the same conversation of, technology and advancements. They're going to ruin everything. And it just continues on. And then the next thing you know, you're living in a sci-fi world and those people have no clue what went on to get there.
I'm not going to cut that out, but I am going to do some research to see what kind of struggles had to be overcome to get to this point throughout the progression and advancements in the automotive industry. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.